Hello everyone, welcome to Digital Communication Tutorials. In this video, I'm going to provide a brief introduction to spread spectrum modulation techniques. In situations such as the requirement of secure communication in a hostile environment such that the transmitted signal is not easily detectable, spread spectrum modulation is highly useful. In telecommunication and radio communication, spread spectrum techniques are methods by which a signal generated with a particular bandwidth is deliberately spread in the frequency domain, resulting in a signal with a much wider bandwidth. These techniques are used for a variety of reasons, including the establishment of secure communications, increasing resistance to natural interference, noise and jamming, as well as to prevent detection and to limit the power flux density, as well as to enable multiple access. Spread spectrum generally makes use of a sequential noise-like signal structure to spread the normally narrowband information signal over a relatively wide band of frequencies. The receiver correlates the received signals to retrieve the original information signal. Originally, there were two motivations behind spread spectrum modulation: either to resist enemy efforts to jam the communication or to hide the fact that communication was even taking place. Sometimes this is called as low probability of intercept. Let us now learn what is the definition of spread spectrum. As you can see in the slide here, the spread spectrum definition is split into two parts. The first part says spread spectrum is a means of transmission in which the data of interest occupies a bandwidth in excess of the minimum bandwidth necessary to send the data. The second part says the spectrum spreading is accomplished before transmission through the use of a code that is independent of the data sequence. The same code is once again used in the receiver to despread the received signal so that the original data may be recovered. Here, part 1 of the definition talks about spectrum spreading, whereas the second part of the definition talks about how to perform spectrum spreading. Moving on, spread spectrum modulation techniques are broadly classified into 5 types. The first one is called as frequency hopping spread spectrum, denoted as FHSS. Then we have direct sequence spread spectrum, denoted by DSSS. Then we have time hopping spread spectrum, denoted by THSS. The fourth one is chirp spread spectrum, denoted as CSS. And the last technique can be a combination of any of these 4 given techniques. Please note, the first 2 of these techniques employ PN sequences created using a pseudo random number generator to determine and control the spreading pattern of the signal across the allocated bandwidth. In my upcoming videos, I'll elaborately discuss the first 2 techniques of the spread spectrum mentioned here in much detail. Let us now talk briefly about what is direct sequence spread spectrum and frequency hop spread spectrum. I'll start with the direct sequence first. In a direct sequence spread spectrum, 2 stages of modulation are used. In the first stage, the incoming data sequence is used to modulate a wideband code. Please note, the incoming data sequence is the information signal. The wideband code usually will be the PN sequence. This code, which is the PN sequence, will transform the narrowband information signal, which is the data sequence, into a noise-like wideband signal. This is called as spectrum spreading. In the second step, the resulting wideband signal undergoes a second modulation using a phase shift keying technique. So, we have the direct sequence spreading followed by phase shift keying technique. This is what is the convention used in DSSS modulation technique. Coming to the frequency hopped spread spectrum technique, the spectrum of the data modulated carrier is widened by changing the carrier frequency in a pseudo random manner. So, in DSSS, we perform instant spreading of the data sequence to make it look like a noise signal. On the other hand, in the frequency hop spread spectrum, we perform the spreading operation by changing the carrier frequency at regular intervals of time. So, DSSS is an instantaneous spreading technique, whereas FHSS is a linear spreading technique. You should note these modulation techniques are known since 1940s and have been used in military communication systems from 1950s. The basic principle behind the operation of spread spectrum is the use of the noise-like carrier waves, and bandwidths much wider than what is required for a simple point-to-point communication will be required for these techniques. Let us now move on and discuss some of the salient characteristics which also form the advantages of spread spectrum modulation technique. As we can see, we have listed 4 most important characteristics. I'll discuss each one of them now. Starting with resistance to jamming or interference. Direct sequence spread spectrum is good at resisting continuous time narrowband jamming, whereas frequency hopped spread spectrum is better at resisting pulse jamming. In direct sequence systems, narrowband jamming affects the detection performance about as much as if the amount of jamming power is spread over the whole signal bandwidth, where it will often not be much stronger than the background noise. By contrast, in narrowband systems where the signal bandwidth is low, the received signal quality will be severely lowered if the jamming power happens to be concentrated on the signal bandwidth. Moving on to the second characteristic, that is resistance to eavesdropping. The spreading sequence in the direct sequence spread spectrum or in the frequency hopped spread spectrum is often unknown by anyone for whom the signal is unintended. So, in this case, it obscures the signal and reduces the chance of an adversary making any sense of it. Moreover, for a given noise power spectral density, spread spectrum systems require the same amount of energy per bit before spreading as narrowband systems, and therefore the same amount of power if the bit rate before spreading is the same. But since the signal power is spread over a large bandwidth, the signal power spectral density is much lower, often significantly lower than the noise power spectral density, so that the adversary may be unable to determine whether the signal exists at all. However, for mission critical applications, particularly those employing commercially available radios, spread spectrum radios do not provide adequate security unless at a minimum long nonlinear spreading sequences are used and the messages are encrypted. Moving on to the third characteristic, that is resistance to fading. The high bandwidth occupied by the spread spectrum signals offers some frequency diversity. That is, it is unlikely that the signal will encounter severe multipath fading over its whole bandwidth. You should note, in direct sequence systems, the signal can be detected by using a rake receiver. Lastly, we have multiple access capability, which is also known as code division multiple access. This characteristic says multiple users can transmit simultaneously in the same frequency band as long as they use different spreading sequences. Comparing this with the FTMA and TDM techniques, we find that we have the same resource, which is the channel, given to all of its users at the same time. However, the only requirement is that all of these users must use different spreading sequences. Right, that is about a brief introduction to spread spectrum modulation technique. In my next video, I will be discussing on pseudo-random number sequences, which are also called PN sequences. Right, that is about this video. If you like this video, kindly press that like button and subscribe to my channel for more videos on digital communication. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.